Hi, this is Alan Olson, and welcome to American Dreams. My guest today is Bob Haney. Actually, I should correct that, the chef Bob Haney. He is the founder and the creator of Heavenly Waffles. Bob, welcome to today's show.
Alan, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So, Bob, you have a unique background. Can you tell the listeners your story of how you got started out in your career?
Oh my goodness, it goes back to when I was about 4 years old. One of my earliest memories is standing on the steps on a step stool next to the stove, helping my grandmother make Thanksgiving gravy, and that was kind of where my love for cooking and my passion for creating interesting products and interesting things to make. I used to make. So I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. I'm a huge Cornhusker fan, and I used to take, this is a long time ago, Triscuits. And this is like, keep in mind, I was 4 or 5 years old. I would take Triscuits, a little bit of cheese, put it in the oven with a pickle, sliced pickle on top, and I would make little hors d'oeuvres for Nebraska Cornhusker games. So that's kind of where it all started.
So,
Go ahead.
moving forward, let's jump into the transition. You also did a little bit of fashion.
I did. So I modeled for 15 years all over the world. You live in Kansas City. Basically, I kind of started my modeling career. I did a calendar in Arizona, and then I'm like a month later, I moved to Kansas City, and I lived in Kansas City for 13 years. But I did Jones Store. I did a bunch of things in like Denver and Dallas, and I modeled for about 7 years, just regionally. And then a buddy of mine was moving to Chicago, and he's like, help me move to Chicago, and I'll, you've always wanted to come here and get an agent. And I'm like, all right. So I helped him move to Chicago, went to like 7 different agencies, and none of them would represent me because all of my portfolio looked, like catalog stuff, and they want editorial things. And so Marie Anderson Boyd, who discovered Cindy Crawford, her agency was called Aria, and she looked through my book, and she's like, why don't you go to Miami and test and, build your book and then come back? And so I ended up going to Miami about a month later, ended up meeting Egon von Furstenberg, the Prince of Italy, and wound up in Milan, about maybe 3 weeks later. And I first, all of the things that I've been through in my life have helped me to where I am now. And I'll give you an example. So the first casting I walk into in Milan, I walk in, and sitting there is Elton John and Gianni Versace, and I'm looking around and thinking, am I being punked? Just because I was like, man, I am way out of my league. But it kind of prepared me for situations later in life, like walking into the Chick-fil-A headquarters and presenting my product. We're the only company in Chick-fil-A history to approach them that they then turned around and invited us into their test kitchen. So, but I got sober about 23 years ago. The modeling industry was a pretty fast-paced life, and I did a lot of drugs, and it's but God miracle that I am alive today. And so, because I had tried to quit drinking 3 times, I'd been through rehab 3 times, tried to quit on my own, and I just couldn't. And one morning I came to, and I was like, I'm going to end up in jail. I'm going to end up dying. I was either going to die, end up in jail. Neither of those things really, at where I was in life, that didn't bother me because I didn't love myself. And so the third one that came through my mind was I was going to hurt somebody in an accident, one way or another. And in a nanosecond, it was like God put his hand on my shoulder and took that compulsion to drink away. And 23 years ago, here I am. And so, when I got sober, I was able to start and fulfill God's plan for me, which was doing what I'm doing now. And so I moved back to Omaha, Nebraska. I had retired from modeling about 2.5 years before. I And I modeled all over the world: Athens, Madrid, Barcelona, Vienna, Milan, New York, Miami, Chicago, San Francisco. And so I ended up back in Omaha, and I started. So I had my grandmother was like my rock and my foundation. I think I had mentioned to you in an email that I'm the product of 10 marriages and 9 divorces between 3 parents, and alcoholism and abuse, psychological and physical. And so my rock and my passion or foundation was my grandmother. And so that's where the love of cooking and passion for cooking came from. But when I moved back to Omaha, I had cooked a pancake crepe recipe using some ingredients of a pancake recipe my grandma made and some ingredients of a pancake recipe my mom made. And one of those ingredients was sour cream. But one day there wasn't any sour cream in the refrigerator, but there was yogurt. And I'm like, oh, that'll work. And that's how that original pancake crepe recipe that is now morphed into Heavenly Waffles, that's how it all happened. And so it's between God and my grandmother.
And how did you come up with the Heavenly Waffle name?
It's because my grandmother is in heaven, and I would say I would say if there is a heaven, they serve these there. And so and my wife and I looked at each other and we were like, Heavenly Waffles.
So now, are you simply just about waffles, or do you have other products?
So we're working on pre-made frozen, and then we eventually will have a line of drizzles. I make like a chai spice honey butter, a black raspberry puree, a sea salt caramel, a salted fudge, a bananas foster drizzle, a peanut butter whip. I do all kinds of things. I do a fennel sausage gravy that I'd love to be able to market and sell one day. Um, Pre-made frozen, like Heavenly Waffle ice cream sandwiches, all kinds of different things.
Oh my gosh. Which product or dish do you enjoy most creating?
Well, I'll give you an example. So the other day, it's, you know what, the ones that I love most about creating are the ones I haven't thought of yet. So the
So,
other day, the other
go
day
ahead.
the other day I made this bread pudding using 6-month-old frozen Heavenly Waffles, and I took them out of the freezer. I made a Grand Marnier simple syrup with orange zest, and then I simmered the cranberries in them, cooked those off, added diced up bananas, tossed that together, and put it in and made a Heavenly Waffle cranberry bread pudding. And it's so good. And I'd never made that one before, but it's the creations that I've yet to make. Those are my favorite ones.
Now, I understand you have a connection here with the National Diabetes Association. Are these waffles diabetic friendly?
They are. So our CEO, his 9-year-old son, I think he might be 10 now, is a type 1 diabetic. And so I had never, I'm not a diabetic, and I had never had any diabetic or tell me that they were diabetes friendly until about a year ago when we kind of leaned into it because his son Gage would eat Heavenly Waffles and had no, or nominal spike in his sugars. And then we work with a company called 93.7 The Ticket. It's a radio station down in Lincoln, Nebraska. Shout out to Derek Pearson. Um, and and so one day we were doing an event there, and a guy came up to me and he handed me, showed me his phone, and it was a number, and I didn't understand at all what it was, and he goes, "My sugars only went up 7 points after eating your Heavenly Waffles." So at that point, we kind of started trying to, I guess, gather numbers and information and lean into that. And so we partner with the Childhood Diabetes Foundation out of Denver and the Barbara Davis Center out of Boulder.
Yeah, Bob, where can people find out more about Heavenly Waffles? You have a lot of things going on.
We do have a lot of things going on. So we have our mix in restaurants all over the world. The New York Jets just started serving Heavenly Waffles to all of their players and coaches. The University of Tennessee served them to all their athletes. The University of South Florida. And then we also have them in coffee shops and restaurants. The Grand Saloon down on the plaza in Kansas City, for instance. The chicken and waffles that they serve and the waffles they serve on their Saturday and Sunday morning brunches are Heavenly Waffles. And then we're launching into Costco. We launched into retail about 5 months ago. So, and we started a Costco roadshow about a month and a half ago. So we will be in Kansas City, then we'll be in Lincoln, and then we're doing a Northwest regional tour in Seattle, Boise, Billings, Portland, and Salt Lake City in January, February, and March. So look out for Heavenly Waffles in Costco. And then we're launching into the mainstream retailers like Whole Foods we're hoping to get soon, Sprouts. Those are kind of our target markets to start. And then we'll do like Wegmans and I guess Kroger and more things like that. Eventually our goal is to have them in every retailer in the world.
Bob, we have a lot of our followers that are on Facebook, Instagram, social media. Do you have social media channels that they can connect into for more information?
Yeah, we definitely do. We have a Heavenly Waffles Instagram, Heavenly Waffles Facebook page, Heavenly Waffles TikTok, and then we also have a YouTube channel. So go check us out there. There's a lot of inspiration on my Instagram page and Facebook page, but Instagram is more about visual. But it's so many different things. If there's a recipe that you might want, send me a direct message and I'll send it out to them.
Well, it's so fun watching you scale and build the community out. So, Bob, I appreciate you being with us here on American Dreams today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.